Now, UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer arrived in Mumbai today for his first official visit to India since taking office, leading the UK's largest ever trade delegation, over 125 business, cultural and academic leaders with him. The central focus of the two-day trip is to capitalize on and accelerate the implementation of the India-UK FTA. Keir Starmer has stated that he wants the FTA implemented as soon as humanly possible, calling it the UK's largest post-Brexit trade achievement and a launchpad for growth for both nations. Starmer is scheduled to meet with Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Thursday, the 9th of October in Mumbai. Discussions are expected to cover the comprehensive strategic partnership, the Vision 2035 roadmap, and the timeline for ratifying and implementing the FTA. Along with strengthening cooperation in defense, technology and AI, the leaders are now set to attend the CEO Forum and the Global FinTech Fest in Mumbai, engaging with industry leaders to explore opportunities presented by the agreement. Starmer has explicitly clarified that his visit will not include negotiations for new visa expansion for Indian nationals, stating that the focus is purely on trade and investment. The Comprehensive Economic and Trade Agreement, or the FTA, was signed, remember, in July 2025 during Prime Minister Modi's visit to London, following the conclusion of negotiations in May this year. It is not yet in force and requires parliamentary processes and legislations in both countries for full implementation. The agreement is projected to boost bilateral trade by around £25.5 billion by 2040. But what does that mean for the people of UK and India on the ground? I take the conversation forward. Ambassador Yogesh Gupta, former diplomat with us, Mr. Keith Vaz, former UK Minister with us as well, Dr. Shahid Kohli, senior economist, and Mithali Nikore, economist, with us on the broadcast. Let me begin this conversation with Mr. Keith Vaz. Mr. Vaz, interesting statement there by Keir Starmer. He seems to be in quite a hurry as far as the implementation of the FTA is concerned. He says the implementation needs to be as swift as humanly possible, and I can understand why, because during his visit, Mr. Vaz, he's had an interesting meeting with Yash Raj Films in Mumbai, and they have promised that 3 new Bollywood blockbusters will be made across locations in the United Kingdom starting as early as 2026, and this move is expected to create over 3,000 jobs and boost the British economy specifically by millions of pounds. Your thoughts on the fact that today there is a company that is promising, an Indian company promising to create over 3,000 jobs in Britain?
Good morning. It's afternoon here in London. First, can I say I'm glad Keir Starmer is visiting. It's taken him a year and a half to get there, and he should really have gone in the very, very first year that he was Prime Minister. The second issue is on visas. It's very interesting that they are actually keeping off a discussion about visas, because for many people of Indian origin living in the UK who have got indefinite leave to remain, they are very upset with what the British government is doing with respect to their right to remain in this country. They feel under stress and threatened by the proposals over indefinite leave. If you leave that aside, there's also the questions of those Indians who want to come into the United Kingdom to work, and many do, or to study. 186,000 Indian students come already to the UK in order to boost the British economy. They pay more than a British student to go to a British university, and they face a lot of difficulties with regards to what happens when they finish their work. They finish their studies at the university. We used to be able to keep them for 2 years so they could work for 2 years, and that period is now being curtailed. So all this is all very welcome. Everyone talks about trade. Keir Starmer likes visiting, likes signing trade deals. Everyone does. But at the end of the day, Indian people need to be treated with respect by the British government when they apply for visas, and also in respect of the visa process. And I'm not surprised he's kept that off the agenda because, of course, that would, I'm sure, cause a row, because I'm quite certain that Narendra Modi, when he comes to raise these issues with Keir Starmer, will want to talk about the visa regime, the quite hostile visa regime that is occurring in Britain because of the rise of reform. All the other political parties, Labour and the Conservatives, are trying to make it tougher for people to come. On Bollywood films, I'm delighted that anyone wants to come to Britain to make a Bollywood film. There's only a certain amount of themes that you can have filming in the UK. The tax regime is very good because you can get your VAT back. I know, because a number of people have approached me in the past wanting to make films in the UK. But at the end of the day, it's got to genuinely also help the Indian economy. And those people who are going to come from India for these films, if it's only the top 5 or 6, in other words, the actors and actresses above the title, and you're not able to bring any specialist people, how does this benefit India? It benefits the companies, of course, because they get a tax cut as a result of making their films in the UK. It benefits the British economy, but we need to be sure that it also will benefit the Indian economy. That means making it possible that out of those 3,000 jobs that are being created, some of those jobs should actually benefit the people with the skills and expertise that come from India. And we've got a very big Indian community, as you know, in the UK, 2.5 million. And they love Bollywood films. They love Bollywood actors and actresses. And I'm sure that they welcome the fact that the films are being made here. But I think we need to make sure that in this deal that is being agreed, that Keir Starmer and Peter Kyle, who I know very well, known for many, many years, also helps the Indian economy. And what is the investment that Britain is proposing to make? Because at the moment, of course, 43 billion in bilateral trade. There's a deficit with India of 8.3 billion. I'm sure Keir Starmer will want to try and reduce that deficit. So let's see what happens. Good that this visit is taking place. Very disappointing it's not going to include the way in which visas operate, because many Indian people want to come and study here, want to work here, and go back eventually. And therefore, we should not put so many hurdles that makes it difficult for them to do that.
Okay, all right. Interesting perspective there. Let me bring in Ambassador Yogesh Gupta as well. Ambassador Gupta, your thoughts on the same. As far as the visa issue is concerned, was it necessary at this point in time for the UK Prime Minister to make that clarification?
Can't be only about H-1B visas or other types of visas. I mean, that's a part of the relationship. And as you know, the previous speaker just said, I mean, this issue will be certainly discussed. You know, when Prime Minister Modi meets with Prime Minister Starmer tomorrow, I'm sure they will discuss the difficulties that, you know, our students and others are facing in getting visas over there. But then the bilateral relationship is much bigger than the visas. You know, we have trade there. We have lots of people, you know, businessmen from India visiting the UK. Similarly, there are a lot of investment opportunities which we have to seize. And most importantly, you know, it's a very important signal that this visit is going to convey to, you know, the protectionist leaders like Trump and others, you know, who think that they must use tariffs to equalize whatever deficit they have with other countries. I mean, this visit and this agreement that we have worked out with the UK demonstrates that, you know, things can be sorted out in the traditional bilateral trade agreements or comprehensive economic cooperation agreements. We don't need to add more protectionism and so on. So I think the visa issue is there. It is important. This will be discussed, like with along with the other issues that concern the two countries, both issues relating to trade, issues relating to investment, and other issues. There are so many other important issues between UK and India, you know, which are also which deserve, you know, the issue of certain number of people who take refuge in the US and use the local laws to escape, their prosecution in India, or there are others who try to take advantage of the local opportunities there to sort of agitate in violent ways against India. So all those issues are also important issues pertaining to our security and so on. So yes, the visa issue will be discussed along with other issues.
All right, let me bring in Sharad Kohli as well then. Sharad, I want to understand from your perspective. Mr. Vaz also raised a critical point there where he said that we must focus on what really is the big benefit to India. How would you explain that?
Well, good evening, Devika. Good evening to my fellow panelists. I can see Mitali at the London Stock Exchange, and of course, the Newsx viewers. Well, I think it is of mutual advantage. There's no doubt about that. We just take one at a time. If you look at India, I think India at this point of time is looking for newer markets. After what President Donald Trump has done across the world, the trade war, the tariff war, which he's waged across the world. So I think the countries are sort of coming together. They're huddling together to see if we can probably help each other in making up the loss which has been caused because of the tariffs. That's I think India's perspective. As Keith rightly said, I think visas should have come up because there are a lot of Indians who want to work there. There are a lot of students who want to go study and then work for some time. And then most of them, they do think of coming back. There may be a few here and there who keep looking for these escape windows, which probably, they demean the whole community for that matter. But those are only very, very few. I think as far as the UK is concerned, now between the two, as of now, Devika, very interesting case in point. As of now, I feel UK can probably benefit more because first of all, there's a trade deficit which UK has. And UK's economy at this point of time is not going great guns. I think Keith would agree with me. Barely growing at about 1% or a little under 1% for that matter, GDP, whereas India's economy is galloping at 7.8%. A new investment is not coming in the UK. Job losses are happening. Cost of living is going up. There is a term we use in economics, which is called stagflation. I think UK is gradually getting into stagflation, although President Donald Trump has spared them from the tariffs. There's only 10% tariff there. They've been one of the best deal makers, shall I say, in Trump's language, as far as the tariffs are concerned. But the fact of the matter is that there are a lot of job losses. Small businesses have closed down. Overall economy is not in a very, very good shape, and the same goes for rest of Europe as well. And UK is the economy which India has overtaken some time ago, not very, very long ago, in terms of the size of the GDP, the population of about 7 odd crores. UK's economy is struggling at this point of time to make new arrangements, enter into new deals, enter into new FTAs to make sure that they are able to, do something for the economy. So even if it's Bollywood films, we don't mind, get us those 2,000, 3,000 jobs. If it's tying up with Aditya Raj Chopra, doesn't matter. Let it come whatever way it comes. I don't give much weightage to Bollywood film tie-ups or whatever. I think an important issue which I feel will come up in this discussion is the fugitives which go and take, resort in the UK. I'm talking of people like Vijay Mallya, Nirav Modi, they just, the other Lalit Modi or whatever, they just go and sit there forever. The legal process just goes, it goes into a never-ending loop. Bail after bail, court after court, conditions after conditions. I remember the UK court representatives coming to Tihar jail or whatever jail, having a look at what are the facilities. Probably Nirav Modi wanted a 5-star hotel instead of a jail or whatever that goes. I think those fugitives have to be brought back. UK cannot afford to earn the reputation of being being a kind of a home for these fugitives where they can safely sit down out there for the rest of their lives, enjoy parties, have fun, move around the Oxford Street, shopping here and there on the Regent Street, on the Oxford Street, clicking pictures with people. I think that's not the way fugitives should be roaming around. I think that issue, Devika, will also come up. But the prospects of both countries in terms of trade growth is phenomenal. You can each, $100 billion plus in the times to come. I think that will be the focus. Then the investments both ways. And at this point, India is in a better position to make investments in the UK. The UK also can probably look at a few areas of investments, but I understand economy very well. My team researches, Devika, on the global economies, and UK has been one of my favorite countries where I did my chartered accountancy, I remember, from the UK. So it's always been on my study table. I have a feeling that at this point of time, UK economy does need these kind of agreements far more than Indian economy needs. Of course, the Indian economy needs this as well. And I think the rest of it, Mithali will tell you on the ground. She's right at the London Stock Exchange. Let's see what's happening at the London Stock Exchange when the gold and silver are shooting up.
Okay, Mithali, then the same question to you. I want to understand from your perspective, when we talk about the implementation of the FTA and the UK Prime Minister coming with the largest ever delegation to India to take this forward, what will that truly mean in the coming years?
Thanks, Devika. Actually, Sharad ji, I'm at the London School of Economics, not at the London Stock Exchange, and this is actually my alma mater, and I'm here for an alumni event. So, but this is what I wanted to sort of say, and this is why I positioned myself here for this appearance today, because I literally studied here. I became an economist here, and today I am speaking about UK and Indian economies doing more trade together from here, and I don't think I could have had a more special moment personally. Just in terms of how I've grown as an economist and how the two countries have grown together as economies. So I think that is the first, sort of point I just wanted to make, Devika. But, in terms of how the two countries can work together, in the last few days that I've been here in London, I can definitely say that there is a huge contribution that people of Indian origin, be it a second generation or a third generation, like Mr. Vaz pointed out, are making to the British economy. I do think that immigrants, even the fresh ones coming in, the students, the knowledge workers, they're really taking the UK economy to the next level. There are so many startup accelerators that I've come across, both in the tech space as well as, in the philanthropy space and the social development space. And so many Indian students as well as persons of Indian origin have been able to unlock funds, and they're making London or, areas around London or Manchester or Birmingham their preferred homes, and, setting up their companies here. And that creates jobs for the UK economy as well. I also want to talk about students because, at a time like this where the US economy and the US university system is literally locking students out with the tariff regime, as well as with President Trump actually saying that US universities should only accept 15% international students. I mean, this is an opportunity for the UK to come to India and attract Indian students to come here. But that will not be possible if visas are kept off the table in the discussion, because at the end of the day, I myself, when I graduated from the LSE, the post-study work visa was actually revoked in the same year. And I moved to the US to start my career. Otherwise, maybe I would have still been working in London. In a way, India gained from it because I came back. But at the same time, I do think that there is a lot for the UK economy to gain from continuing with, the visa regime in the way, in the way it's going now, with the post-study work visa and keeping that security for students particularly. And students are always keen to come to London, to come to other cities in the UK and benefit from the absolutely global standards of education that we get here. So, so at the end of the day, I would say there's a huge potential for people-to-people contact, services-based businesses, investment, philanthropic capital. A huge amount of philanthropic capital here in the UK is looking for alternatives, and India offers a very good one. So yes, I mean, overall, I think the two countries can really benefit from each other. And also in the tech space, I mean, there are new tech parks that are coming around, around Oxford, around Cambridge. I've actually been to one of the tech parks around Oxford. So I do think that, there's a huge potential. A lot of jobs will be moving from the US to the UK. And India can be a very solid partner for the UK in the way forward on that.
All right, then I want to leave the last word with Mr. Keith Vaz. Mr. Vaz, I want to then understand from you, when we talk about the ability to make the best of the current situation as far as geopolitics is concerned, the tariff wars are concerned, does the UK have the ability to really present itself as a crucial partner for India in the coming decades? Because we no longer want to be working with blocks and systems of alliances, etc. It's pretty clear that the world wants to have a one-on-one relationship. Countries want to have one-on-one relationships because everybody has to look out for their own people. So amid the current climate of tariffs being used as a political weapon, how do you see India-UK relations benefiting from the same?
Well, I think it's an important relationship, as all the speakers have pointed out. How wonderful to have a former graduate of the LSE standing in front of the LSE. 70% of the students at the LSE, one of the greatest universities in the world, are of Indian origin. And so there's no question all over the place. The biggest export India has given to the UK are its people. The worry we have is the more successful they are, the more they tend to want to leave Britain. There are many Indian origin people who are very successful who've now left Britain and gone to Dubai because of the tax regime. On the 26th of November, Mr. Starmer will be putting up taxes in this country. So it's all very well talking about getting investment, but for the most successful, and the Indians in Britain are actually the most successful immigrant community in the UK, this will be a problem. But what matters more than anything else is not the photo calls, it's not the signing of the agreements, is who you leave behind. And I think you're lucky to have in the UK Vivek Doraiswamy, your High Commissioner. He's first class at pushing India forward. We need to revamp our embassies and our consulates, especially in Mumbai, in Chennai, and in New Delhi, and have some really, really good people, first class people who are there. Some may have to be political appointees. We don't know. But we've not had this kind of follow-up that we've had in the past. And I think that Britain, if it wants to be serious about its relationship with India, has got to treat Indian people with respect when they come here, but also leave behind a legacy so you get really good people. Partnership means that you work together over a period of time. Normally, when a British Prime Minister comes, I usually issue a statement, or I did when I was an MP, demanding the return of the Koh-i-Noor diamond. Actually, this visitor's caught me by surprise. I didn't know he was going. Otherwise, I would have issued my press release saying, why don't you show a symbol of goodwill and give something back to India? Don't forget, Britain has taken millions, trillions out of the Indian economy over the years. So the fact that India is treating a British Prime Minister with such respect and such equal partnership is worthy. It's a worthy thing to do. And it goes to the elegance, the graciousness, and forgiveness of the Indian people. Let's build on that. Let's get those economic drivers as part of the way forward. The final thing I'd like to say is I was present at the first summit between the EU and India when Tony Blair was the Prime Minister and I was his Foreign Minister. Of course, we're one of the partners. India also has to deal with the EU. 500 million people, a bigger market than the UK. So it's a question of us asking India to be our friend, not the other way round, as was the case when prime ministers used to visit when I was much younger and an MP many, many years ago. It used to be a different equilibrium. Now it's definitely India calling the shots. So I hope this visit is going to be successful. I hope there's a legacy in place and it's not just a photo call and signing agreements. For that, you need really, really good people left on the ground who are going to follow this through. And I hope very much that that happens.
Right, absolutely. And on that note, a very, very short break.